You're walking into a room you've never been in before, and suddenly your whole body freezes because you've seen this exact moment, the light, the sound, the exact words about to be said. You know what happens next, but you've never been here before, not once. So what just happened to you? Scientists call it déjà vu, but that name explains nothing. It just means already seen in French. It doesn't tell you why your brain just lied to you with total confidence. Here's the strange part. Déjà vu isn't a memory. It's the feeling of a memory. Your brain has a system for tagging experiences as familiar, and for a fraction of a second that system misfires. It stamps a brand new moment with the label "You've experienced this before," even though you haven't. Think about that. Your brain isn't remembering the past. It's mislabeling the present. Neuroscientist Akira O'Connor has spent years studying this exact glitch. He put people inside brain scanners and fed them false memory cues, words designed to trick the mind into feeling familiarity where none should exist. What he found changed how scientists think about déjà vu completely. The brain region that lit up wasn't the memory center, it was the frontal cortex, the part responsible for checking facts and catching errors. That means déjà vu isn't your memory malfunctioning, it's your memory system's quality control department doing its job. Your brain sends out a memory, something feels off, and a separate part of your brain flags it, sends up a warning, essentially saying, "This doesn't add up, but I'm telling you anyway." That warning signal is the eerie feeling you get, not a memory, a contradiction alarm. So why would your brain be built to make mistakes like this at all? One leading theory comes from psychologist Anne Cleary, who has run dozens of experiments recreating déjà vu in laboratory settings using virtual reality. She discovered something remarkable. Déjà vu happens most often when a new scene shares the same spatial layout as a scene you've experienced before, even if you consciously don't notice the similarity. Picture this, you walk into a friend's kitchen for the first time, the window is on the left, the table is in the same spot as your grandmother's kitchen from 20 years ago. You don't remember your grandmother's kitchen consciously, but some deep part of your brain does. It recognizes the shape of the space, the geometry of the room, even without recalling the actual memory attached to it. Your brain says, "I know this layout," and because it can't locate the actual source memory, it just gives you the feeling of recognition, floating free, unattached to any specific event. That's the glitch, not a paranormal signal. A pattern matching system doing exactly what it was built to do, just without giving you the receipt. Here's where it gets stranger. Déjà vu isn't rare and mysterious. Almost everyone experiences it. Studies estimate that between 60 and 70% of people report having felt it at least once, and the numbers reveal something surprising. Déjà vu is most common in people between the ages of 15 and 25. It becomes rarer and rarer with age. Why would a glitch fade as you get older? Because your brain's error-checking system is actually getting weaker, not your memory getting worse. Younger brains have sharper, more active frontal lobes, the same region O'Connor found lighting up during déjà vu. A younger brain catches more of its own small memory errors and flags them. An older brain, ironically, lets more of them slide without noticing. Which means déjà vu isn't a sign that something's wrong with your mind. It's a sign that your mind's error detection is working exceptionally well. That reframes everything, doesn't it? The eerie feeling that made you stop and question reality for a second was actually proof of a healthy, hyper-vigilant brain. There's another layer to this. Déjà vu tends to strike more often when you're tired, stressed, or your attention is divided. Ever notice it happens more on long drives or during repetitive tasks or right before sleep? That's not a coincidence. Neurologist Joseph Spat, who studied déjà vu in patients with temporal lobe epilepsy, found that the same brain region involved in ordinary déjà vu, the medial temporal lobe, is hyperactive during epileptic seizures that produce intense déjà vu experiences. In these patients, déjà vu can last much longer and feel far more powerful, sometimes accompanied by a strange certainty about what's about to happen next. This gave scientists an unexpected window into the phenomenon. If overstimulating that brain region in epilepsy produces intense déjà vu, then ordinary déjà vu in healthy people might simply be a tiny, harmless electrical hiccup in that same region. A brief overlap between the part of your brain that processes new experiences and the part that retrieves old ones. For less than a second, the wires cross, and your present moment gets stamped with a memory that was never actually filed. So every time you felt that shiver, that strange certainty that you've lived this exact second before, you weren't glimpsing a past life, you weren't tapping into some parallel timeline, you were watching your own brain catch itself in the middle of a wiring overlap and immediately try to make sense of it. And maybe that's the most human thing about déjà vu. Your mind is constantly comparing the present to everything you've ever experienced, searching for patterns, checking for danger, looking for familiarity in a world that never repeats itself exactly. Most of the time, this system works so smoothly you never even notice it running in the background. Déjà vu is simply the one moment it becomes visible. The one time you catch your own mind at work checking, correcting, doubting itself in real time. You're not broken when it happens, you're just witnessing the machinery. But there's one more piece of the puzzle that most people never hear about. Déjà vu has a lesser-known cousin, something researchers call Déjà Vécu, meaning already lived. This is a rarer and much more intense version, where a person doesn't just recognize a moment, they feel certain they can predict what happens next, down to specific words and gestures. For most people, this passes in a second or two, but for a small number of patients with certain neurological conditions, this feeling can last for minutes, even hours, creating a persistent and unsettling sense that every new moment is somehow a rerun. Studying these extreme cases has actually helped scientists understand the mild version that almost everyone feels. Because if you can see what happens when the system breaks down completely, you can better understand what it's doing correctly the rest of the time. And here's something else worth sitting with. Déjà vu isn't the only trick your memory plays on you. Your brain constantly reconstructs the past rather than replaying it like a video. Every time you recall a memory, you're not pulling up an untouched recording. You're rebuilding it piece by piece using whatever fragments and assumptions are available at that moment, which means memory itself is far less reliable than it feels. Déjà vu is simply the most obvious moment this reconstructive process becomes visible to you. Think about how confident you felt in that instant, completely certain you had seen this exact scene before. That certainty is the same certainty you feel about memories you're sure actually happened, memories that psychologists have shown can be partially or entirely false. Your brain doesn't tag memories with a reliability score. It gives you the same unwavering confidence whether the memory is accurate, distorted, or in the case of déjà vu, entirely manufactured on the spot. This is why déjà vu unsettles people so deeply. It's not just a strange feeling, it's a direct glimpse into how fragile the line is between real memory and false memory. For one brief moment, you get to feel what a false memory feels like from the inside, complete conviction paired with zero actual evidence. Now, here's a question worth asking. If your brain can misfire and convince you a new moment is old, what else might it be quietly getting wrong without you ever noticing? Most memory errors don't come with a warning signal like déjà vu does. They just slip in silently, and you carry them around as fact for the rest of your life, never once questioning them because they never triggered that strange telltale shiver. That's what makes déjà vu almost a gift in a strange way. It's one of the only times your brain accidentally shows you its own uncertainty. Every other memory error hides behind total confidence. Déjà vu is the rare exception that briefly rips off the mask. Researchers have also noticed something else worth mentioning. Déjà vu appears to occur more frequently in people who travel often or who consume a lot of new environments and media, constantly exposing their brain to fresh spatial layouts and scenarios. The more raw material your brain has to draw fragmented similarities from, the more opportunities exist for this pattern-matching system to misfire in the exact way Ann Cleary's research described. In other words, if you've been feeling more déjà vu lately, it might simply mean your brain has been processing more novelty than usual, not less. There's also a cultural layer worth remembering. For centuries before neuroscience existed, déjà vu was explained through spiritual and mystical frameworks, past lives, prophetic dreams, glimpses into parallel realities, and it's easy to understand why. When your own mind hands you an experience this convincing, this specific, the natural instinct is to search for an explanation just as dramatic as the feeling itself. A wiring hiccup in the temporal lobe doesn't sound nearly as satisfying as a message from a past life, but the more mundane explanation is, in its own way, far more remarkable. It means your brain runs quality control on your own reality constantly, silently, for your entire life, and only once in a while does it accidentally show its work. So every time that feeling washes over you, that unmistakable certainty that you've already lived this exact second, remember what's actually happening beneath the surface. Two systems in your brain, one that processes what's happening right now, and one that searches your past for matches, briefly overlap. For less than a second, the present gets mistagged as the past. And your frontal cortex, the same part of your brain responsible for catching errors and lies, notices the mismatch and sends up a flag, the eerie signal you interpret as an impossible sense of familiarity. You're not slipping between timelines. You're not remembering a past life. You are, for one fleeting moment, watching your own mind catch itself mid-mistake and try in real time to make sense of something that never quite adds up. So next time you walk into a room and feel that jolt, that certainty that you've already lived this exact second, don't ask what universe you slipped into. Ask what your brain just caught itself doing. Because the glitch was never in reality. The glitch was proof that your mind is paying far closer attention than you ever gave it credit for.